Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake, for all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs. Go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Reel Down. It's just me this week. I know I just was talking about how Dan was back with me, and yet there is no one here with me. He is headed down to the Hobie event on Eufaula. So everybody go check out his YouTube. I'm sure he'll be doing some updating that. Check out his Instagram, Facebook stuff. Give him some good words, or just give him a little jab. Poke at him a little bit, whatever's your style. I'm sure he wouldn't care. But so I'm kicking it solo tonight. We may have old Shane come in from Bass Thumbs. He may give us a little co-hosting. And congratulate the guys we got tonight. We are covering the So Cal Kayak Anglers event on El Capitan. Hadn't done a Cali show in a while. I think the last show that I did was the Urban Anglers of LA, I think. Somebody check it out and let me know if that was the last one. If so, I think that was like beginning of last year. So it's been a minute. They had a great show, a great showing at the event. Numbers are great. There was also a Yakka event. Bunch of people, bunch of good fish. So California is fishing really, really good right now. So I wanted to grab a few of these guys and come on real quick before we go any further. Make sure you're checking on to your fantasy stuff. We had a fantasy show, I think, last Friday. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, go back and check it out. Everything is up to date, to my knowledge, this far. Make sure you're paying attention to your teams, getting everything ready to go. Other than that, I forgot to pull up the events we have coming up, but I do know that we still have some time to register for the KBF event on Gunnersville at the end of the month. I think that one's going to be fire. I spent some time on Gunnersville last week, and Gunnersville is setting up really, really well. So I think it's going to happen at like the perfect time based off what we saw Friday. So, I see someone blowing me kisses. Hey, what are you doing?
Hey, what's up, dude? How are you?
Pretty good, man. How you in?
I like the video behind you. Just hook sets for days.
That's right. That's the heavy hitters from last year at the MLF.
There you go.
Yeah, I have to make sure I don't look at it because I'll sit and watch it.
Now?
Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Where are the boys at?
They're about to come in. I was about to bring them in, and then I saw you giving me the kiss faces. But here they come, man. We got the winner, and actually the winner, Justin. What's going on, dude?
What's up, man?
And then we've got
what's up, Justin?
Hey, Shane.
Fourth place. He was brought in by special request. Justin was like, "Hey, you need to get this guy on." He helped me out a lot. So, but you had a killer day too, man. So what's going on?
Yeah, it was a fun time, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. Well, Justin, you go ahead and start. Tell us who you are and how you got into kayak fishing.
Well, I'm Justin Maupin. I got into kayak fishing based out of so I used to kayak whenever I was younger and stuff. We used to go down the Elk River out in Missouri. But then I got into kayak fishing just out of a fluke, basically. I was in Joplin, Missouri, picked up a kayak. I was recruiting out there. Just started fishing out of it. And I didn't really do any tournaments out there. I know the guy that actually runs all the Moyak Kirk tournaments and stuff out there and everything. He actually lived like 2 blocks from me, and he was the one that suggested the kayak that I got. I got the Big Fish 120. Then I went on deployment, like, what was that, 2020? So whenever COVID kicked off, I was on deployment, and then one of my good friends actually picked me up a Hobie. He found it for used for a pretty good deal and picked it up, and ever since then, since I got back, picked up with So Cal Kayak Anglers and been fishing ever since.
That's pretty good service. You got a Hobie and you weren't even home to get it. That's pretty.
I know.
What branch?
Great. I'm in the Navy.
Oh, appreciate your service, man.
Wait, Jimmy, the first thing too, Justin. So in order to catch 97 inches, do you need a stash like that?
Oh yeah, dude. You have to. You have to have the stash. It's
Dude, he already told me that we were
Yeah.
talking about the pre-fishing
Wow.
blues, how your pre-fishing's great and your fishing's terrible. He's like, yeah, it's because you got to shave the rest of that off.
Next, that's why.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so you need a stash, and then you need the
The
strip
soul
right here.
patch.
Yeah.
'Cause I got nothing, dude. I'm 30 years old, bro, and I can't even push this thing out, dude.
Oh, bro, you're messing up, man. You better go get some Just for Men or something.
Oh, God.
Seriously, bro.
Some
Well, hey,
Rogaine.
Jimmy, I can't stay on for a long time, but I want to congratulate Justin and Shane. You guys had a phenomenal day out there. I'm not going to sit here and ruin the story or anything because Jimmy, this story is honestly kind of unbelievable, but it just goes to show that you need to keep casting no matter where you're at in the day, no matter, where you're at in the standings, keep casting and anything can happen at any moment. So, I'm stoked to listen back on this, but Justin, Shane, congratulations, you guys. I'm bummed that I can't stay on. I'm at dinner with my family right now, but I wanted to hop in and congratulate you guys. So
Thanks, Shane.
Oh, you're good, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you
right.
stopping in, dude. Tell the wife I said
Yeah.
thanks.
Heck yeah, love you guys, and I'm gonna listen back. But have a blast, dude. Jimmy's a good guy.
Enjoy your dinner,
All
man.
right, bro. Thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
see you guys later.
Later.
See you, man.
Well, all right, Shane. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into it.
Oh man, so first experience with a kayak really was with my brother. We had like this tandem Costco kayak, and we would go out and paddle in the harbors and catch spotted bay bass in Huntington Beach Harbor over here, and that's kind of was it. We went out maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I didn't kayak fish at all. But I've always fished my entire life, mainly salt, and then I ended up picking up a lightning kayak. At a local spot here in Long Beach, and I picked that up, and I strictly was fishing salt, all the harbors, going out past breakwall, even doing some bass fishing like calico bass and rock fishing and stuff like that. But then one of the guys that I fished with regularly, his name's Michael. They call him Cheeto. He's got a YouTube channel too, and he started going out to a local lake and started catching bass, and he was like, man, you got to come try this freshwater bass game, man. I think you'll like it. And I went one time and I caught like a 11-inch smallmouth bass at one of the lakes called Pyramid. And and I was hooked, man. I think I caught on a Texas rig trick worm. I had no idea what I was doing, but I caught it. And after that, I've been so just fascinated with the freshwater game. Kind of what's been taking all my time, and so got rid of the lightning kayak, and now I have a Old Town Sportsman big water PDL with the motor guide, and it's been a game changer for sure. So I'm liking using that for the tournaments and all that stuff. So
That's pretty interesting. You don't hear a lot of the start with salt and then get interested in the freshwater. Most of the salt guys I know are like, I mean, freshwater's cool, but salt's better. But I don't know. I feel like that some of your guys, I mean, saltwater fishing is difficult, and I'm not taking that away from it. But like, you literally never know what you're going to catch.
It's not
just throw a live
difficult.
bait and you're going to catch something.
Bro, you can throw anything out there and you'll catch a spotty any day.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what may bring some of the salt guys to the freshwater stuff. Is it's freaking hard some days. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing on the surf or in the salt and everything, but I don't know. I feel like bass fishing freshwater bass fishing sucks way more than it's good. And somehow I just can't get enough of it. And I don't understand that.
I think that's what it is what is so like good about it. It's like it's so difficult and it drives us crazy, but it keeps us coming back for more. Like I don't know if it's like that pride in us trying to like figure it out, but man, it's crazy.
It's always that challenge, bro. It's all about the challenge. Like that's all it is for me. Like if I go out there and I get skunked, I'm obviously pissed off throughout the day. But the next time I go out there and I just catch, even if I catch 2, it's like I feel like I did good. You know, I'm like stoked about it. So I think it's the challenge and the adrenaline that you get out of it.
That's what I think my lure to it is too. Is like I love catching big fish, but I just like catching fish. You know, getting the tug on the other end. Like when we went out last weekend, I mean, I caught a few good ones, but we just got I got into a flurry with a swim jig where it's just like everything just wanted to eat it, and none of them were like over 14 inches, but it was just you're just still excited, especially after it's been like hard. It wasn't hot that day; it was just kind of annoying. But I had motor problems and was getting towed around, and it was just like, and then when you finally get a bite to get going, it's well needed. Well, one of y'all want to tell us about El Capitan? Lay out, give us a lay of the land. What kind of lake, kind of forage, how it sets up.
It's a very murky. It's probably I'd say 2 to 4 foot visibility lake. It's kind of a weird shaped lake. It's almost like a channel, but it's a lake. It's very strange. There's a lot of rock. Recently, there's been a lot of moss. Kind of sucks, but and then there's some trees every once in a while, but not too many. But mostly rock and just desert environment like California. Southern California. It's all. If you look at any video, you can always tell whenever you can see a bass fisherman fishing a lake. You can always tell that they're in Southern California or somewhere around California. They're all laid out pretty much the same on the shores. So it's
and
big boulders.
I'm gonna pull up this picture real quick. You weren't kidding. It's definitely a channel. Like it looks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just because this is a Google Map reference and it looks kind of narrow, what kind of width are we talking about here in that longer channel section? Is it like pretty narrow, or is it a couple hundred yards?
So up top, like it's probably about half that length now because it's shallow now. But it's about probably, I don't know, probably 300 yards across. I'd say 300 to 400 yards. It's pretty decent size, but once you get down towards that fatter section, it's pretty big.
Sweet. Does it get like really affected by the wind?
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's probably one of the windiest lakes.
Yeah. Most of the time, if you catch a lake with any kind of a long straight line, it's going to get hammered.
It's consistent. They're usually after noon from my experience and other people's experience. But we were fortunate. The tournament day, it was pretty decent. It only picked up towards the very, very end, and I think that's really what helped our day on. But it's very low. That was the hard part. That's one thing I didn't like about it. Everything that I fished in history and prior events, rocks and submerged stuff is completely out of the water. So it really was tough.
Yeah, that's something I don't adapt to well, is when I show up to a lake and it's just like bottomed out low. I don't even I just spin out right out of the gate. I don't even know how to approach it. It's like, well, everything I know is gone.
Yeah.
In the image I get in my head, even though it's not true, is there's gonna be deeper cover that you've probably never seen before. But in my head, when I'm get to the lake, like Dale Hollow is a good example. I've been to Dale Hollow in Tennessee when it's so low that like a pin I have is like 40 yards up the bank. And in my head, the rest of everything is just like a slick, muddy nothingness with water in it. It's like I can't wrap my head around. No, just graph and then you'll figure it out. But I'm just like, there's nothing here. It's an abyss.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of talked about it before the show started, but we'll get into it now that we are live. Let's get into pre-fishing a little bit. And then since Shane said that there's, a killer story to this, what I'll probably do is just let y'all both talk and y'all can lay the story out however you want, but we'll get into that in a second. So I know one of you pre-fished.
I pre-fished. I actually pre-fished 2 days, not including the couple weeks prior, but I pre-fished the Friday before and the Tuesday before. So Friday, it was hot. Got up to, I don't know, close to almost 100 degrees out here. And it was brutal. I caught a few fish, not too many, nothing big. Had an all right day, I guess. Just kind of figuring things out. And I was actually hitting the beds a lot, getting them off beds, just throwing a little wacky rig, robo worm actually on a 1/16 pin,
Nice.
And then the only thing that would get bit was whenever I would dip it in a chartreuse dip, and that was it. And then once I would do that, they would just chow down on it every single time. But after that, I went out on Tuesday. If you want to pull that picture back up, I can kind of tell you a little bit where I went.
Make sure it's still there. And here we go.
So you can kind of see up in that channel going up a little bit, where it kind of curves around on the right side. I went up a little bit to where it barely banks to the left. I went right up there. There's a little porta potty basically up there, and I was fishing right off that. And there's 2 boulders up there. I was throwing a jig over it, just slow dragging it across the boulder and letting it just free fall. And as soon as it would free fall, they would just smack it. And I probably caught, I don't know, I think I caught 8 fish that day, but they're all decent fish. So nice. I kind of had a game plan. I didn't overfish that spot like I would on like a fun day or something. But I was just kind of having a good time, finding new areas that I haven't explored, and just figuring it out. And then I came back and I just kind of hit those coves again and fished the beds for a little bit. And I went in and just for fun. And then tournament.
It's hard to lay off of them when it's good bite, though.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard. I'm a huge into offshore fishing. My good buddy, actually, his name's Clint. Can't really say full names, security reasons, but my good buddy Clint, he's really gotten me into the offshore fishing, finding structure, getting me off the bank, and it's becoming more. I'm becoming more used to it and actually get better at it. So I think that's kind of paying off. Because if you ever watch like professional bass fishermen, the ones that just beat the bank all day long, they're not the ones usually winning. It's usually the ones that are offshore, hitting the structure, hitting the trees.
That's how I know my future is limited in kayak fishing.
Oh, and
I try.
Sometimes it is good.
I try. I had a little luck last year. Dan, the guy that's usually co-hosting with me, he's really good at it, and it was crazy. He kind of just talked me through it one day, and I just happened to find exactly what he was talking about on a map. We were like just talking over text, and that was like the first time I'd ever caught fish offshore on a ledge because I had no clue what I was doing. And he was like, "Yeah, you just look for this, go here, and throw this and drag." And I was like, "God, it can't be that easy." And boom, I was like, "Oh." And it just like it makes you happy, but it's like, is it really that hard? And I've just not been able to put it together myself. And then it's like you're like, "God, you suck, Jimmy." Like, "God, you couldn't figure this out yourself." Jesus.
Oh, it's nice, dude. The offshore, once you figure it out, it's night and day. Like, Shane saw that on Saturday. Oh, yeah. Once we tell you about the fishing, the tournament, oh my gosh, like it was insane, dude.
Well, we'll go quickly over Shane's pre-fishing. Shane, how was your pre-fishing?
So I didn't pre-fish.
Great story. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, that was a short-lived story. No, I didn't pre-fish, unfortunately, but I initially when I went in, I was like, I hit the history spots because I had a solid top 10 performance last year at this event. But I think it was a week difference. Justin, was it like a week apart? Was it the last Capitan?
Yeah, it's right around about.
So I was kind of like, oh, cool. I can just go hit the same spots and maybe they'll still be there. So I pull up to the line with 67 cars in the morning at the lake. We're all lined up, and I look at the lake, and every single spot that I normally caught fish on was dry. So I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna happen. And like you said, Jimmy, it kind of throws you off. Like, so tournament day came, I was just like, I'm just going to make a run deep, far down into the channel. And I did that mainly too, because Justin was like, hey man, I was at the back of the channel when my pre-fish was good. So I'm like, right, I'll head that way, you know? So I headed that way, and it didn't work out, but anyways.
So is this a single launch lake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All of our lakes really are around here. There's not too many multiple launches around.
So
I don't
running
think
up
there
that
is
channel
any.
is a freaking run then.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
it's about 5 miles, I'd say.
Yeah,
Whew.
it took me 25, 30 minutes, and I didn't even go back to where even Justin went. I stayed at this rock point. That was the first spot I hit, and that took me about almost a half hour to get to.
Justin, are you running a motor?
Yeah, I'm running a motor guide XI3.
Oh, okay.
But I was also pedaling as well, so I was hitting about 5.2 miles per hour across the lake. So
Jesus.
Blind
He was humping it, dude.
man.
The XI3 is not known to be fast. It's just known to just keep going. So that's ripping with an XI3.
I get about 4.8, 4. If the wind's in my back, I can get about 4.9 with my kayak.
Yeah. I used
Like
to be
while pedaling?
No,
Or just
without
motor?
pedaling, just motor.
Wow. Golly,
Yeah.
nobody's told me speeds like that out of it. I mean, like maybe the New Canoe Pursuit because it's a bullet, like it flies with a motor on it. But
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That's what the PA-14, bro.
That's great. I mean, that's 150 something pounds with no ass in it. Like,
yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, I don't want to wait anymore. I kind of want to get into it. So we've got all the time you need. I know I told you we record around an hour. We can go over. Y'all can lay it out however you want to and be as descriptive as you want to. So I will let y'all. For anybody that's listening to this, I'm probably going to be quiet for a while because I really want to hear about this. So I'm not going to try and interrupt too much. But take it away.
Man. I got to start the morning off. All right. So I was rolling out to my usual spot. Got all the way out there. I threw the same jig I was throwing the day that I was pre-fishing on Tuesday. Drug it over the rock. Had one smack it hard, really hard actually. Probably, I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly how big the fish was, but I could tell it was pulling. And it did a head shake and shook the jig. So that's how my morning started. And then
start with a heartbreak right out of the gate.
Texas rig. Yep. Yeah. Oh, I had 5 of them.
Oh.
Yeah. So my first 5 fish I lost.
Jeez.
So, and that was all the way from 7:30 in the morning till noon. About 11:30, noon, 12 o'clock. I lost 5 fish. Watched Mark Chrisman hook up into one, not even 100 yards from me. Sitting there doing the same stuff. I even lost one on a Vision 110. 3 treble hooks. Fish came off.
Not meant to be.
No, I'm just frustrated. So it was about, I don't know, 11 o'clock. I decided to eat lunch. So I'm just hanging out, start eating my lunch, and I look in my lunch pail and I find a bag of nuts inside my lunch pail that my wife packed the night before. Love her to death. But inside this bag was banana chips. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with bananas, but they are bad luck. I will not even lie to you.
I feel like anybody that's in bass fishing at all, that's probably the first thing you learn.
And
it doesn't matter if it's like banana scented lip balm. You throw that shit out. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Dude, I found the bananas and I'm like, it can't be that bad. They can't be the reason in my head. And so I eat my lunch and then start heading back and I run into Ryan and we're sitting on this rock pile out in the middle of the channel. And I hook up into one and he takes off and I think I was throwing my 704 Dobbins and had it bent and I went to hook set him and he even watched the whole thing and just snapped the line. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on.
The
and I'm
stars are not in line.
17-pound fluoro on a 30-pound braid on that rod. Like, it's hard to break that line. And he's sitting there. He's like, dude, I saw that. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to feed the ducks. So I dumped all those nuts out. Love my wife to death, but dumped them out. And not even 10 minutes later, I caught my first fish, a little 14 and a quarter bass on a Vision 110. And then I was like, all right, oh, this is getting better. And this is at noon, mind you. Tournament ends at 3. So I'm already kind of like, all right, I just need to figure out something. So I went back towards the front of the lake where I knew there was beds, and ran into Shane. Actually came around the corner, and there he was, sitting there catching fish. But I went over into the pocket and started flipping on beds, and then I start hearing Shane, Justin, and then I'll let Shane take it over from here and kind of tell you how that all went down. And
Real quick, I have to know though, did we have a little like after tournament talk with the wife? Like, look, I love you,
yeah,
but don't you ever put this in my bag again.
Oh yeah. If you check out my Instagram, my Facebook, it's posted on there. I was
awesome.
like, I love you to death, but don't ever put bananas inside my bag again. Like, it was.
That's good. But yeah, when you ran into me, I was at this spot. I was fishing the bed fishing spot, because earlier the first fish I caught was on a bed, and it was driving me crazy because I could see all the fish up shallow, like 1 to 3 feet of water, and crystal clear. I could see them. And what was crazy was I couldn't catch them if I was in 10 feet of water casting into them, even away from them. But once I posted my kayak on shore, my stern was on the shore. I cast it in, and I was able to catch a bedfish. So I go back to that spot in the afternoon, and they didn't want anything. So that's when I saw Justin. He was like, I'm going to go in that cove. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to meet you over there, because that's where I was going to actually head next. And I know that cove. I know people have caught fish there. I've caught fish there. And so anyways, I start heading over that way. And initially, when I'm a shallow water bank kind of fisherman too. So I'm beating the bank and, hitting around the points and all that stuff, fishing shallow, throwing a jerk bait, throwing a soft jerk bait. And I forgot what happened. I don't know if I was retying. I think I was retying, and I drifted into the middle of the cove in like 20 feet of water, and my sonar lit up like spaghettis. It was just crazy. And I knew right away. I didn't know what kind of fish, but I knew that it was just loaded with fish. So I think, I don't know if it was I dropped a Kitech with a Matt Steffen 1/8 ounce guppy head on there. And the Kitech was that sun gill color. And so I threw that down, and I got hammered. So I think I caught that one. I think it was like a 16.75 or a 15.75. So after that, Justin was actually, he was on the bank retrieving a lure that he threw on that.
Hey man, it was a Vision 110. It was a $30 lure.
Yeah, you gotta get those.
$25, $30 lure. So he goes and he retrieves it, and I'm like, that's awesome. So as he's retrieving it on shore, he's walking up the hill picking it up. I hook up another one, and I'm like, Justin, you need to come over here, dude. So I'm fishing more. Right after I measure that fish, I was like, okay, I'm going to leave my board out. I'm going to leave my net out. I think this is going to happen. And I dropped my bait down again, and first cast, I got hit again. And Justin was still kind of far away from me. He was kind of towards the end of the bank, and I was like, dude, you got to get over here right now, dude. They're everywhere. My fish finder is loaded. Just come over here. So he comes over there, and I think he didn't catch right away. It took a little while. And then he hooked up one. And I think as he hooked up one, I was hooked up on another one.
Yeah.
And it was like double up. And then
we were screaming.
We were screaming. And then this bass boat pulls up. It's a father and his two sons. And they're kind of like on the outside of the cove. And I look at Justin. I'm like, we're not letting anybody in this cove, dude. I'm like, we're going to make sure nobody's coming in. So we kind of were just, we were, and it was fun, and, but we tore it up. Justin started catching them like crazy. And the crazy thing is every fish he was catching was like 18 inches. Nothing was like throwback or 13 inches or 14 inches. Everything was just big fish. So
did you just keep throwing the Kitech down on them, or were you trying to change up a bait to catch maybe a bigger bite, or you just kept with the Kitech?
And you know what? And after I realized it, I kind of regret that. And Justin's actually said it while we were fishing. He's like, I should throw an A-rig. And I'm like, I know. And after today, my buddy watched the video and he was like, dude, why didn't you throw the A-rig? You probably could have doubled up. And I was like, I know, man. So lesson learned for sure, but I think it was the fourth or fifth fish I caught in that spot. I pulled it out and it had all kinds of shad in its mouth. One had a micro shad and the other one had like a decent size, like 3-inch shad in it. And even on the outside of that cove, there were fish busting. And at one point I moved out of that deeper spot and I tried chasing those busting fish. I threw my fluke at them and they wanted nothing. Threw my Kitech real quick and on the top of it and wanted nothing. But once we went back down, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Yeah. Justin, you could talk a little bit about what you're.
Oh yeah, dude.
That was awesome.
So I cast it off the Vision 110.
Great place to start a story.
So I'm casting out a jerkbait. This guy, he's back there. Shane's back there behind me, and he's like, Justin. And I'm watching him catch fish. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool, man, yeah. I'm over there throwing the jerkbait because I know it's working, and it's a +2, so I'm getting deep, trying to get something big out of it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I go over there next to him, and I'm like, what are you throwing? He was like, oh, I'm just throwing a Kitech. I'm like, all right. So I have 1/8 ounce, just base ball weight heads, like nothing crazy. And I'm throwing a Kitech, Fat Impact 3.3. I put it on there, and at first I put on a chartreuse, a little tiny chartreuse one, and I'm like, all right, I'll try this, and didn't catch anything out of it. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to switch it up to something a little bigger. So I was throwing the 3.3. I think Shane was throwing like a 2.8 or
2.8,
something. Yeah, a little
That's
smaller.
like the only two sizes I throw anymore.
So I wanted to throw the 3.8 because they were biting like that, but I didn't do it because one, we were time limited, because this is at like, you're talking 2 p.m. is whenever I started actually getting on them with him.
And lines out 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. So I catch probably 3 or 4 before 2:30, and then I start figuring out a pattern. So I cast it out, 2:30 hit, and I just bounced it, bounced my rod tip twice, actually. As soon as I bounced it that second time, I could feel the little twitch. I actually just got this rod probably, 3 weeks ago. It's the Sam Sabi, the 723 spinning rod, and I'm trying it out, and every single time I can feel it every time. And then they'd start taking off, and I'd set the hook, and I think we probably missed, I'd say like 20, 30 fish between the two of us. We probably missed.
Jeez.
But I was landing them every 4 minutes at least. I was landing a fish. And from 2:30 till 3, I landed every single fish that won the tournament. Like 258 was whenever I stopped catching fish. And we were like, all right, this is enough.
Like, it'd been hard to come in, though, if that bite's still going.
Mhm.
Oh, it
Like-
was. But we didn't have cell phone service out there. We had to submit our fish by 4:15.
Yeah.
So we had to load up, get our cars, and drive probably 7 miles, I'd say, down this windy mountain road
Mhm.
to get to a 7-Eleven just to submit our fish. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to submit.
What time did you get your fish submitted?
I think I got there around like 3:45, 3:50.
Okay, so not like cutting it close.
No, not even.
I'd be in like panic mode.
Oh, we were.
Like that-
Definitely were.
As we talked about, like, my bad juju, my truck would have like blown up or something on the way there. It would have been like, nope, not today, buddy.
Oh man, I'd be so upset.
Well, that is awesome. But it did, like, they were already on it when you drifted over them, Shane. But they were just smacking on a bait ball. Then it sounds like just
Yeah, 100%. And there
were they holding in the same spot though, basically, or were they kind of
Yeah.
moving?
They were pushing them up into that cove. So I have Panoptics on mine, so I was able to actually like watch them, and I was like, Shane, cast there, cast there, cast there.
God, it's cheating.
Oh, I know, it's so great though.
Video
but-
gaming, man.
Oh, it's so good, but it's legal, so.
No, it is.
But,
I mean, that's the same arguments everybody has now for live scoping is the arguments everybody had when the A-rig came out.
yeah.
They're like, "Oh, A-rig is cheating. You can catch 5 fish at once." It's because it works. You're just mad.
I want to see you catch 5 fish on that thing.
I've caught 3 spotted bass at once, and you don't want it. Like you're throwing. I throw a Dobbins 795 for my A-rig, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it's a shovel handle,
Oh,
Yep.
and I mean, these aren't even big spots. These are like 2.5 pounders. Like, hook one, rod gets a little bent. You're bringing them in, boom, you feel it get heavier, and you're like, yeah. And then the third one, you're like, okay, this rod's about to snap, and you're like you said, situation. There's a graph with a bunch of like spaghetti on it, and I'm just praying. Like, as cool as it used to sound to catch 5 on one, I don't think that rod would do it. Like throwing a big
Snapped
old
a 5.
A-rig.
so you've
Snapped
got
to 735.
Wow, really?
you have got 3 on one time?
Yes.
Jimmy? Oh man, on an A-rig?
Three on an A-rig and spotted bass, which pound for pound fight. I mean, some days I'd rather catch them than smallies because they fight so hard.
What's the
Hey,
hook
babe.
rate?
Hold on,
What's the
guys.
what?
What did I tell you about bananas on the boat? There you go, guys.
That's what you hear about. It's bad luck.
Thrower in the podcast.
I love it. But what was your question, Shane?
What is the hook
Sorry.
regulation A-rig over there?
Well, since it was developed here, it's 5.
Oh, it's 5. Oh,
Yep.
you know.
So,
what pair- and I'm
I'm just now starting to dabble into the ones with I don't remember. I guess they call them actual umbrella rigs, where you've got up to like 10 streamers and you have 5 hooks. I've been watching some of the guys out there throw those in Texas. That's what's been hammering them on OHIV. It's like after you put your Kitex on there and stuff, you're talking like an $80 A-rig. But it's a lot. Like, I'm not the greatest cast already lobbing A-rigs, and that just makes it worse. But
man.
I'll figure it out one day. It's I actually like most of the time when I'm throwing an A-rig, I'm throwing them for stripe, big stripe bass.
Mhm.
And the day that I had that triple hookup, I was stripe fishing, and we got into spots. Go figure. Again, not catching the fish I'm targeting, but it was still cool. Yeah, I remember the first time I caught an A-rig. Before I get off the A-rig subject, I was like 17. It had just came out. I bought one. All I had was a medium action rod. I tied it on the medium action rod. And you want to talk about like trying to cast with a spaghetti noodle. And then I said it out loud. I was like, I wonder what it's like to get bit on this. And I got hooked up. And you want to talk about a rod that just like the tip came all the way down to the handle like an ice fishing rod. And you're just like, oh God, it was great. Well, that's crazy
That's the
though.
best.
So go into, because Shane, you got on some good fish too. I've got them right here. I want to pull them up.
Yeah.
Oh, my mouse went to sleep. Wake up, mouse. There we go. I'm going to get over here. Oh, come on, Turny X, don't fail me now.
Turn X be glitching, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right in the middle of the podcast. I looked at all y'all's photos before. I'm clicking them right now, and it says photo not currently available.
Oh man.
That's crap.
Oh no! Here, I can send
Oh,
you all
well.
mine.
Well, here, it's letting me see yours, so let's I'm gonna share it up.
I think my biggest was a 5 or a 19.5.
Here we go.
There you go.
Oh,
That's that biggin. So tell
That's
me
the
the story
toad.
on the biggin.
So that one was caught at 254. I couldn't turn it. Like it wouldn't turn on me. Shane's got video of it, man, and I could not turn that bass. Like it just kept wanting to go down and down and down and down.
That's how you know you got you a good
Oh, yeah, man.
a catfish.
Yeah, that's what I initially thought it was. I told Shane that I was like, I might have a catfish. I don't know. I was like, this thing will not turn around. It's big. And it was on the 2-pop, on the Kitech 2 pops, and smacked it and took off. And I learned that you got to let them run with it for a second, because I think it has to do with them feeding on so many shad down there, because it's shad spawn out here. So
yeah,
they're loaded. But I think them feeding on all those shad, they weren't really getting our hooks in the mouth, and that's why we lost so many of them. And so I started just letting them take it for a while. Like I would count to 3, like I would a yellowtail out here. Just count to 3 and just let them take it, and then I would just set the hook. And once I started pulling it, I think it took probably, I don't know, 3-4 minutes to actually land that guy.
Yeah.
I'm watching. Yeah, I'd already broke it off.
You got time. You're good. Take your time. Land them. Oh, so fun.
Oh man, it was fun.
What did you weigh it? Did you have a scale or?
Yeah, that was 6 pounds 7 ounces. What I got.
Beast.
It's
Pretty
so common.
Yeah.
Out here, a 6.5 pound bass is like it's like going back there and catching a 3 pound bass. Like it's so common.
Well, thank you for like nicely insulting the rest of the country other than Texas and Florida. I appreciate it.
Bro. Okay, so I'm from Kansas, so going to Kansas and catching a 3 pound bass, 2 3 pound basses, it's not all the time. You're not going to catch it every day, but I mean, there's a good chance you'll catch one. That's kind of what I meant by that. No insult. But
no, I feel you, man.
But
that's awesome. It's funny. You talk about y'all hollering and him like talking you through getting it in and everything like that. I was going to post a little intro video shouting out one of my buddies from our trip to Gunnersville Friday. He got a fluke bite going in one of their little honey holes, and he hooked it. Like he's spinning real fishes a lot, and he just caught one, let it go, skipped right back in there, and he's like, "Oh, it's a good one." And all I can hear across this little pocket we're in is his drag just. I was like, "Yeah, it's a good one." So I was gonna post the video up because I had my GoPro going, and I turned towards him, so I got the whole thing on camera. But when I played the video back before I started the podcast, there's way too much profanity in it for right now. It needs some editing because he hadn't caught a decent fish in a minute. So there was just there was a bunch of fun yelling, and there was a bunch of, I guess I didn't notice it in the moment. But so I'll post that next week with a little bit of editing to give my buddy a shout out. But he caught it was a 21 and a quarter half, like 5.5 pounder that was up on bed. We didn't know that until, he was like skipping like way up into the brush because the water is low, but we had an area that the water was up in the trees. It was kind of weird. Everywhere else was like 2 foot low, and this one area was up in the trees. But yeah. So let's see the things we can take away from this. Like Shane was saying, other Shane, like grinding it out and sticking to the end, because it's real easy. Gerald Swindle always talks about positive mental attitude, and you can definitely lose the tournament that way.
Yeah.
What were you, when you caught up with him before y'all got on your flurry? Were you already kind of like counting yourself out of it because of all the mistakes at the day? Well, I don't know. I'm not saying you made the mistakes, but just the mishaps.
Oh yeah.
Were you kind of
Definitely.
already like just bummed out and just like whatever?
Yeah, I was 100% like that. That's why I was going towards the beds, because I wasn't going to win it off beds. I knew, like, the biggest fish I caught off a bed at that lake was 16 inches. So I already knew that I wasn't going to win it off a bed. So, and I went into this tournament with the goal of, getting over 90 inches. Like, that was my goal. Like, I wanted to get over 90 because I've never done it. I've gotten over 80 plenty of times, but getting over 90 was just, it felt great. Like, never done that. I've never
I mean,
went.
you were closing in on the century mark too.
Oh yeah, that's my
96 and a
next
quarter.
goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the next. That's going to be Hodges. That's my goal for Hodges is
That's
over
the place
100.
to do it, for sure.
Yeah.
So Shane, we didn't catch like the beginning of your day. How before you got you had your very fortunate drift out into the middle of a freaking hot spot. How was your day going before that?
Not good, man. It was terrible. It was like I told you earlier. Like my fan was completely shot because it was so low, and I knew it was low because people telling me it was low. But when you actually see it, how low it is, it really screwed with my head. So I was like, I'm just gonna make a run. I made about a 30-minute run, and there was this little rocky point, and got there right. There's another guy on the other side of the point, and we're both talking, and we're just, the place was loaded with fish, and so I started throwing a little bit of top water early in the morning, and then I'm a big finesse spinning rod guy, So Cal staple over here for me, anyways. So the moment a reaction bite, like if I don't see anything, I'm not spending 10 minutes with it. I'm talking spending like 3 casts with it, and I got a spinning wheel in my hand already. I'm not gonna lie about it, but I picked up the drop shot because I knew there were fish around there. Started dropping. I would get in these little nibbles, nothing happened, so I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time. So I ended up crossing the lake, and I was fishing this spot. One of this other guy from the club, he's like, "Hey, are you fishing the inside of that cove?" And I said, "No, go ahead." He goes in there, he tosses a worm in and catches a fish right in front of me. And I was like, oh, this is really, really not happening for me. Like, this sucks. So I think that was probably like 9:30-ish. Yeah, 9:30, 9:45. So then I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna go to my history spots, even though they're not like in water. No,
Just gonna cast on the bank and make it work. That's what Justin was trying to do.
So
Yeah.
It was the worst possible thing I could have done because, as I expected, it didn't look good. Another thing too, there was just so much kayaks and even boats around the area, so I didn't want to like fish around too many people. So I ended up going closer to the launch, and there was this point, and it was just a sandy point, and I saw fish busting like crazy. So I throw my fluke, kind of same deal. Nothing. And I ended up tying on a Jackal re-range 110, and I started tossing that, and same thing, nothing. So I was like, all right. So I go back to my spinning reel, and I'm like, this day sucks. I ran into a couple of my buddies on the kayak. Says, hey, you have anything? No. So I'm like, okay. So I didn't feel too bad because I'm like, kind of seems like the same song and dance for a lot of people. But so I found this area where there were beds, and I was telling you guys earlier, I had to get that one on shore. I caught that one at 10:10 in the morning. And of course, like Justin said, I mean, he said his bedfish were like 16. My bedfish was 12.75. So nothing to brag about. So I was like, okay, this isn't out for me. So I ended up making another 30-minute run back to that rocky point that I hit first in the morning that I saw the fish. And that was probably the biggest waste of time that I could have done. I ended up going there and there was all kinds of people already. So I literally just flipped around and I went back to the ramp. So I literally wasted probably 45 minutes to 1 hour just traveling. So I just ate my sandwich. I was like, all right, I'm just going to chill. So I went back to that cove, and that's when I'm sorry. No, let me rewind. As I was eating my sandwich, I'm heading back, and I stumble upon another point, and it was from previous tournament. I remember catching fish on a shaky head, and it was on a sandy kind of point, like I was saying, but there was just random scattered rocks. It wasn't like big rocks or anything, but it was just scattered. So I did really well with a shaky head there, which was kind of weird because like sandy bottom, you wouldn't think it'd be the best, but I did good. So I ended up tossing a Nico rig because I didn't want to waste time tying on a shaky head. So I tossed my Nico rig and I caught a couple bites, and they weren't sticking. So I'm like, okay, this sucks. So I put on a drop shot, but I put on a nose hook drop shot because during the day I was using a robo worm hook, the rebarb hook. And so I ended up putting an exposed hook on, and I ended up landing a 15.75. And I think that was at 11:45. Then right after that, like, cool, I found a spot. I'm going to sit here the rest of the day. So right after I caught that 15.75, I casted out my Kitech. That was my first time throwing the Kitech. Casted out the Kitech, but a little bit deeper off at the point, and maybe 15 feet of water. And I got slammed, and I was fighting the fish. He jumped one time. He was still on. I was excited. I grabbed my net, put my net in the water, and bringing him in. He decides to do one more jump, and he spit the hook, and I was just devastated, man. And that was right at like 11:50, 12 o'clock. And I said every word in the every cuss word you could possibly. I was so pissed off. It was on a rod that I just built. Really wanted to catch fish on it, and I lost that fish on that rod. So I was just so upset, and I was over it. So I was like, I'm gonna head back to the ramp. I'm just gonna go fish the coves, and if I get lucky, great. And I honestly, mentality wise, I was like, I'm gonna head in early. Like, this is whack. Dead serious. So then I was like, okay, whatever. I saw Justin, and Justin was like, I'm gonna hit that cove, and that's when all that happened. And my day turned around within about an hour of a lucky drift, and I'm grateful. I didn't have any life scope. I had my Lowrance Elite TI, and I just saw the spaghetti, and it ended up working out. So I'm grateful for sure.
It just makes me think like how many times I've missed that by like 10 yards.
Yeah, it makes me.
Shane and I have officially become tournament partners, I think. Bro, I took him out at Otay, and I showed him some of the spots that I would fish and stuff, and then we just kind of hung out for most of the day at Otay. The tournament before, it was the opener. I ended up taking 15th out of that one, but I mean, I didn't really care because it wasn't a huge buy-in and it wasn't anything serious. But Shane ended up taking 4th out of that too. But I think we're just that lucky little connection,
We're like each other's rabbit's foot, man. That's not even fair.
Exactly. And I think from here on out, I think it's going to be a Shane and Justin tournament,
But y'all got to have some mishaps. It sounds like he's having some mishaps and down and out. You lost 5 and throwing baits on the bank and stuff. I feel like y'all got to start off kind of rough.
I think it's the
so there were.
Man.
It could be. I would be lying if I wasn't sitting over here thinking like, I wonder if I shave this off, that's going to do it. Because I believe in all the jujus, man. Like maybe they don't want the beard. Maybe they just want the Sam Elliott stash. I could get down with a big stash. Yeah. Again, though, I'd be divorced before you know it. So,
I mean, Shane Lemmon kind of proved it. Whenever his wife beat him out there in Tennessee.
I was there. It was great. Oh, you want to talk? So we all were messing with. I don't even know if he knows the truth of this, so I'll put the truth out there right now. So there was actually no bet. But we all agreed before he flew in that we had a bet going that his wife was going to kick his ass. And just to get in his head. So day one, he goes out there, he catches like one, it's like a 15.5. And the fishing was on fire, just not where he was at. On the other, like north end of the lake, it was just kicking, but they put in where we stayed. Day two comes around. Everybody decides to, like all the paddle and fin hosts, we decided to all go to the same ramp that a buddy gave me. Said, usually it holds good fish, but day two, the fishing was just terrible across the board. Like the day one leader, my buddy Garrett, zeroed day two. Like it just went from like one spectrum to the other. And I had just passed them. I was fishing this bluff wall. I just passed them, and apparently right after I passed him, she smacked into one. And listening to him tell a story, it was great because he was like, when she come in, we all zeroed. And she's like, I caught one. It was 16.5. And you just saw us all like, and Shane just looks at me, he's like, shut up, Jimmy. And I was like, how big was yours yesterday, Shane? He was like, I'm not going to talk about it. And I was like, that's me. She just beat you on the leaderboard. Like,
That's
oh,
great.
yes. And she was excited. We were all hyping her up. And then he was just like so mad. And he was like, yeah. But she was reeling it in. I was like, oh, no. I should go cut her line. Oh, no. And then he said she held it up. And I was like, oh, no. Just lost.
Oh, man.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
That memory will
his
stick
wife's
forever.
funny. She is
Oh,
funny,
she's
man.
great.
My wife follows her on Instagram. She makes all those TikToks and stuff. So it's funny because whenever he was out there, actually, she was making a TikTok and she was fishing, and she was like, "Look, one of my people that I follow is kayak fishing," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I look at the last name and I'm like, Lemmon. Like, wait, I know him. Or Lamone. Sorry. My bad, man. I say names wrong all the time.
I still think he missed his calling by using a lemon as his podcast picture.
So yeah, she was like, she was like, her husband? I was like, yeah. I was like, I fish with him pretty regularly. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. And so it was kind of crazy to see that connection between the two, that my wife's been following her for a few months.
I had never heard about her. And it got brought up one night, and he was talking about, like, yeah, she's a social media influencer. He's like, kind of by accident, really. And, like, we're all intrigued because we all do social media. We do podcasting. Marketing is a thing. And, like, she's very successful at it. So we're all, like, listening to Shane talk about it, like, ooh, taking notes. I was talking to her the next day. She's like, that's so embarrassing. Embarrassing. I was like, it's not embarrassing. Like, we need a class. Like, you need to tell us what we're doing wrong, or we need to hire you. Because some of it is probably because we're old men. Yeah. I feel like we can only get so far.
100%.
But like, it was cool to, just talking about that. It was cool to have them out there. They hadn't got to experience, or at least I know she hasn't, the Southeast. Them talking about how open everything was. She was freaking out when she saw cows running across a pasture, and they were like, she's like, they're just like so much room. She's like, out here, they're just like all together. And I was like, yeah, no, that's probably 4,000 acre farm. Yeah, it's funny.
With the cows. My dad used to have a couple acres, and he let one of his buddies rent it out for having his cattle on his land, and she got spoiled with it because she got to feed the cows. They came up, they licked her and all that stuff. So every time we saw cows after that, she was like, I want to go pet the cows. I'm like, you can't just walk up and pet cows.
It's kind of how we do it down here, though. We just kind of like, they're curious. If it's got horns, maybe I'm a little slower to it, but that's not true either. Then it becomes a game.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's a freaking cool tournament story. You won the tournament in the last hour, basically. Shane, one question.
Yeah.
Do you regret telling him that the spaghetti was under you?
Not a bit. Not even
a bit.
Nah, I don't. We had a blast. I don't change it for the world, man. I rewatched that footage today like 5 times, and I was like, dude, I want to go back and do that again. That was so much fun. Like for me anyways, like I'm competitive and I love tournament fishing, but honestly, I'm not a huge fan of fishing by myself. I like fishing with people. I like conversing. That's just kind of how I like doing things. And luckily, Justin's the same way too. So that's kind of like why we work well together. And it's not any of that. Like he's happy for me. I'm happy for him. Totally.
That's sick. Well, I hope y'all get on it again. I'm gonna pay attention just to see if I start seeing y'all like 1, 2, 2, 3 up in the top together and be like they're just raining terror in freaking Cali.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all just gotta keep beating Shane because Shane competes in most of these, doesn't he?
I don't think he does So Cal Kayak Angler now. I think he's strictly ABA stuff.
Gotcha. I didn't know if he dabbled in a little bit of all of it, but love my guy, but I like to see him get his butt kicked too.
I kicked his butt last year, so it's okay.
Nice. Cool. I'm gonna laugh like crazy if he figures out how to grow a mustache.
Oh, dude, that'd be great.
When he was talking about it, I was like, I don't know if I could picture Shane with a mustache. It'd be strange. But well, we have reached the point of the show where we like to give everybody a chance that we have on to shout out any sponsors or family wives, anybody that makes your fishing easier, maybe helped you out this tournament specifically. Shane, we'll let you go first, brother.
Yeah, definitely. First and foremost, my wife Carla. I wouldn't be able to do any of it without her, so I'm super grateful for that. My couple sponsors, Bit Baits. Check them out on Instagram. Custom hand tied jigs, apparel, all that fun stuff. Woo Tungsten, Shredfin clothing, and definitely I got a shout out to Kayak Ditch Day. It's a group of guys that have always really helped me through the bass fishing game and all that stuff. And then definitely a shout out to Southern California Kayak Anglers for putting on such a great tournament and such a great events. And I'm super grateful to be a part of it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Justin?
Yeah, I want to, thank my wife. She's
I don't know if that's true.
Of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she packed the lunch, so it's all good, man. She tried. She did her best.
Hey, she learned.
She learned her lesson, even though she knew about it before. But it is what it is.
She did it on purpose. You didn't take the trash out this morning. I'm putting bananas in here.
In her defense, they were banana chips. I give it to her.
Yeah, she had no idea that they were in there. She said, "I don't know. I'm kind of wondering, But thanks, Shane. Telling me about the spaghetti under his kayak. Definitely a pleasure having him on here with me. I could have asked for anything better. My buddy Clint, he's been teaching me a lot. He would be killer this year if he wasn't in school right now. And then my brother-in-law, Travis Kendrick, he's out in Kansas, still rocking the beard and the bullet or whatever he's doing out there. I don't know what he's doing now. Yeah, so he taught me a lot growing up, mainly worms and stuff, because that's really all I knew whenever I was growing up. I didn't really know anything else. I didn't know how to cast a bait caster until he taught me how to cast one about 10 years ago, not even. But yeah, I don't really have too many sponsors. I'm still trying to figure things out as it is, but I've got the support of Dobbins. Obviously, they give me that 30% off for military, so that's great.
Great rods.
I'll always fish those rods from now on. But yeah.
What's your favorite? Like, do you run an all one series right now, or do you kind of have a different array of the series?
So right now I'm running the Caden spinning rods, and then I have the Fury bait casters. My favorite's probably my 735 Fury that I have. The spinning rod's obviously starting to kind of grow on me, but it's still fresh. But I did snap a 735, hook it up to a fish on a frog down in Otay. That thing was, I don't know, it was a big fish, but I mean, we all have that fishing story. We could just say that it's so big, but I snapped it 6 eyelets down and it was less than a month old. So the Dobbins took care of me. They replaced it for free, gave me a shipping label to ship it back, shipped one back to me. So I'll always support that company. It's a great company. They take care of you really well.
I've been privileged to being part of their team for a little over a year now. But I've used their rods forever. The Fury 735 is still my absolute favorite frogging rod. I've only broke one of their rods. No, I lied. I broke two back to back, and we figured it out. Or we think we did. I bought a couple of them from Academy, and two of the three rods I bought at one time both broke in the exact same place. I think they would have been like dinged or nicked or something like that. Because I mean, they broke almost identical, like 3/4 of an inch above like the fourth eye, and just on a hook set, like you said.
Yep.
Other than that, I love them. I have an array of their rods, the Sierras. If you can still get them, the Sierra series are fantastic. It's basically the Fury series with a lighter blank. You should take some of those winnings though. If you like a spinning rod, you need to check out the Champion HPs. They are, or the Extreme HPs.
My buddy Clint throws those. He's the one that got me onto Dobbins. He was like, dude, you need to check these out. Like, try them out, and he throws a lot of those. He throws a lot of the big swim baits. So he's got the 795. He's got, all that stuff. He's got so many rods by them, but he's big into it. And he's told me about those and showed me. I just, I'm taking some of the winnings. I won biggest bass and also first place. So I walked away with $1,130. No big deal. Not what Shane walked away with the last one, but we'll get him there, and he'll end up taking the next one. Watch. But yeah, it's a good time, man. I love those rods. I'll continue to use them for the rest of my life, probably, as long as they stay around.
Oh man, I don't think they're going anywhere. No. I got the chance to go to their little, I don't want to say factory, but their shop in Texas, and it's awesome. Like, they got all sorts of cool stuff, and we got some new stuff coming out. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about yet, but they're expanding their market a little bit, so it's about to get really cool in the Dobbins world. But yeah, anybody else? That it?
I think that's it, man.
Well, heck yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on. Y'all are more than welcome to stay and hang out. I got some tournaments to go over that happened last weekend, but I appreciate both of y'all coming on. I know I'm glad the timing worked out. I know y'all are a couple hours behind me, so hopefully I'm not keeping y'all away from the family too much, but good luck to you. I'm sure we'll see you on again. I guarantee you I'll see these names. I'm going to start paying a little more attention to it. Get Shane to keep me up to date with the Cali guys.
Thanks for having me,
man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So let's get into some results, guys. So what we just covered, the So Cal Kayak Anglers, we went over that. Justin was first with 96 1/4. Second was Brian Lepke with 91 1/2. Third place was Chris Harris with 89 1/2. And our man Shane was right behind them in fourth. Another tournament in Cali, the Yakka Bass on Lake Berryessa, had 100 anglers with a 5-fish limit. Tasmua first place, 85 1/4. You see that name a lot out there, man.
Big time.
Second place, I'm going to ruin this one. Dago Kobayashi with 84 1/2. Third place, everybody's favorite YouTube angler, Greg Blanchard with 83. I'm glad to see his name up there some more, man. It felt like he went quiet for a little while. We weren't hearing about our man.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we had the Bassmaster Kayak Series on Grand Lake in Oklahoma. 63 anglers, 5-fish limit. Our first place to our main man, Drew Gregory with 91 1/2. Finally got him a big win out there on the Bassmaster circuit. Second place, Daniel Maffey with 83 1/4. And third place, Mr. Possum Kingdom, Mark Pendergraph with 82. The Slay Nation Texas Kayak Series were on Lake Fork, my favorite lake. 27 anglers. First place, Corey Geisendorf with 101 3/4. Boy, Texas just puts up the big ones this time of year. Second place, John Chapman with 95 3/4. Third place, Tony Hendershot with 93 3/4, and he had a big old 23 1/4 to anchor it.
So I spent a week at Lake Fork with my dad and stuff, and got skunked at Lake
Wow.
Fork. Yeah,
We
I
went
was like
last
12
year,
years.
and it
I was 11 or 12. So
we went last year, and it was tough for some of us because I went out there really wanting, me and the guy that I went with, we were out there for the Bassmaster event. We really just wanted to catch them shallow on beds. So that was like the whole goal, which was the stupidest thing we could have been doing. A lot of guys were, I think all the winners were catching them like pre-spawners off points and stuff. But one great thing about Lake Fork is like I didn't catch a fish under like 3 pounds.
Jeez.
It's like didn't catch a lot of fish, but you would catch like a 16 and it would be giant. Like just like just big old slobby fish.
Basically Hodges for us.
Yeah.
And you said that's your next event?
No, our next one's San Vicente.
I gotcha.
But my 100 plus should be. I want to keep it at Hodges. It's going to end up being Hodges probably, if anything, if I can get 100 plus.
Well, heck yeah. Next up, we had the Kayak Anglers of Missouri's first trail stop on Stockton Lake. 25 anglers. I just went over that one, I think. Yeah, I did. I'm stupid. Let's see. No, here we go. I got them all crossed up. Stockton Lake, 25 anglers. First place, Nahum King, 78 inches. Second place, Joe Bailey with 78 inches. Third place, Steve Lehman with 77 3/4. Coming up next, Southern West Virginia Kayak Anglers, 33 anglers. It was a statewide online. First place was 90 inches. Jason Stouffer. Second place, Scott Birchfield, 77.5. Third place, Mark Huffman with 76 3/4. The TVKA, Tennessee Valley Kayak Anglers, were on Lake Chickamauga, 26 anglers. They do a 3-fish limit. First place, Joseph Kirk, 56.5. Second place, Stephen Guthrie with 52 3/4. And third place, Ryan Lunch Money Lambert, old KBN guy, 52 1/4 for third. Kayak Bass Fishing Tennessee, KBF10 for all my local folks. We're on Old Hickory, 45 anglers, 5-fish limit. The hammer himself, Josh Sharp, 89.5. My teammate, my man, Derek Bostick, second place with 88 inches. And another friend I've got to fish with actually out in Texas, of all places, was third place, Bip Burridge with 85 inches. This next one was a combined event with 3 clubs from Tennessee, NTKA, TCKA, and the... apparently I cut off that word, but there were 3 clubs in this one out on Lake Cherokee. 59 anglers. First place, Joby Berry with 91 3/4. Second place, Brandon Tomlinson with 90 1/4. And third place, I think this is the first time I've had this name on here, is Alex Rudd with 87 1/4. And for anybody that doesn't know him, check out his YouTube. Yes. He is a fantastic YouTuber.
I love his podcast too, man. It's really good.
I'm going to try to get him on for the next show. I really wanted to hit the Cali stuff tonight, but I'm going to reach out to him. We've talked before because when he first started dabbling with kayak fishing, I shot him a message and was like, he was fishing kind of around where my house is. And I was like, dude, if you ever want some help with the kayak thing, you know, feel free to reach out. And we talked for a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can get him to hop on. I want to talk about his progression through it because he does both real heavy.
Yeah. Him and Benjamin are awesome, man.
Yeah. Next up, the Bluegrass Kayak Anglers were in Green River Lake. 64 anglers. First place, Tyler Casey with 87 3/4. Second place, Jay Wallen, 84 3/4. You always hear his name up on top. Third place, Zach Bishop with 68. There were only 2 limits in that whole tournament, and that was first and second place. Ooh.
Oh.
64 anglers and 2 limits. Jesus. Bass Cat and Leesville Lake. 29 anglers. First place was Jacob Stevens, 77 3/4. Second place, Jorge Gonzalez was 76 3/4. Third place, Brandon Overstreet was 75 3/4. The Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing guys were on the event number 3, Yadkin YOLO. It's the Yadkin chain of lakes. 116 anglers because Queen City does it big. And First place, Matt Hodge with 76.5. And for anybody that doesn't know, Queen City does a 4-fish limit. They're like the only club doing that, and it's really cool. It's just like a mix-up in the numbers. Second place, Chad Walden with 75.5. Third place, Nick Huddleston with 75. The first 8 kayak anglers were on a bunch of ponds, according to this, out in Delaware, which I don't know anything about bass fishing in Delaware, so that might be the deal. 27 anglers, 3-fish limit. First place, Zach Bunner, 55 3/4. Second place, Arthur Cox, 52 3/4. Third place, Isaac Pauly with 51. And last but not least, the Socks and Cookies Kicking Bass for Troops tournament. 50 anglers, 5-fish limit. First place, Chris Capono with 88.5. Second place, Corey Hopper with 88.25. Third place, Stephen Bell with 85.25. And Russ Kennedy, who came in 6th, caught a monster 23 3/4. And what this organization does, as you heard, it's for the troops. They provide care packages for deployed troops and units. So pretty awesome. Well, that's the show for tonight, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you that listen. Be sure to check out these guys' Instagrams. Give them a follow. Give them a like. If there's anybody listening in the sponsor world, you might want to check out these boys. They got their graphs going. They're using the Dobbins rods. At least one of them is. We'll have to get Shane on some Dobbins rods, man. But, yeah, give them a follow. Give Paddle and Fin a like. Share it with your friends. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. We're all over the place. We will see you next time. Hopefully we will. If we don't do a local show, we'll do the Hobie coverage next week. Hopefully our boy Dan comes back with the win. I think he's due a big finish in a national event. So good luck to him. Appreciate you guys again, and we will see everybody next week. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You could support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle boxes today.